Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you all are doing well. And Johnny has a lot of stuff going on in real life, so he's gonna take a little sabbatical from the show. I get it. We all get busy, and sometimes life just has a tendency to get in the way. But we're gonna go ahead and trudge on and give you the latest news in ultra running. All right, let's just jump right into race results from this last weekend. So Eastern States 100 was over the weekend. And this is a race that got canceled last year. I don't know if you remember us talking about that. Our good friend Chaz trained his ass off for Eastern States. I mean, serious training. He was in a really good place for the race. And then the Thursday before the race, they had just torrential rain. I mean, maybe it was a Friday. I can't remember. It was like the day before the race. It was just like a barrage of rain, and it was like severe flooding everywhere. I mean, the course was flooded out. The campground where the race starts was flooded out. I mean, there was literally rivers. We saw videos. There was rivers flowing through that area that were not even rivers. So pretty serious. So anyways, the race did happen this year, and Michael Busada finished first in 22 hours and 30 minutes, which is pretty good time for that course. That's a very technical, this is in Pennsylvania, and a lot of climbing and a lot of technical parts to this course. And in second place was Alec Klein in 23:16. Alec is that runner from Ohio who's just been tearing it up this year. I mean, he's got wins at Mohican, Burning River, and a few other races. He's got several wins this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's at least mentioned in the top 20 ultra runners of the year, and well deserving to get mentioned in that, because he's really just came out of nowhere and thrown down. But Alec, his second place at Eastern States was pretty close. I mean, Gabriel Batorf crossed just 20 seconds after Alec in 23:16. So it was a close battle for second place. And then for the women, Justina Wilson finished first and fourth overall in 24:49. Marissa Kovac second, 27:10, and Kari Zatwarnowski finished in third, 27:46. The Wy'east Trailfest was out in Government Camp, Oregon. And this race is put on by Daybreak Racing. The Daybreak has really been coming on strong the last few years. They put on a lot of good races. The Wy'east Trailfest is a bunch of different events up there around the iconic Mount Hood. And Wy'east is actually the native ancestral name for Mount Hood. So that's why they call it the Wy'east Trailfest. And out of those races, for the ultras that took place at Wy'east, the 50K, Jackson Cole won for the men and first overall in 4 hours and 24 minutes. And for the women, Heather Jackson finished first and got fifth overall in 5 hours and 20 minutes. And then in the 50-mile event, Madison Hart was first for the women and fourth overall in 9 hours and 58 minutes. And Case Vanderplug was first overall in 8 hours and 58 minutes. All right, moving on to the Wyoming Range. This is a race that I believe it started in 2021, and It has it's a beast. It's a beast of a race. Okay. It's a point to point. It's in Wyoming, of course, Wyoming Range 100. It has 24,000 feet of climbing, so no shortage of climbing. And there's 8 big climbs throughout that race. So 8 monster climbs, and it's about 105 miles total. They give you 48 hours to do it. They say it's very difficult. It's a graduate level race in grizzly country, so you have to carry bear spray. But they do want to give you a great chance to finish. They want to make it finishable, so it says 48 hours. And the buckle for that race, I saw pictures of it on their website. I mean, the buckle is ginormous. It's a pretty cool buckle. So anyway, let's take a look at. Oh, also this race is now a hard rock qualifier. So that just kind of shows how tough it is. There are some 10-mile stretches between aid stations. You cover rough and disappearing trail. You could go through snow, lightning, or whiteout conditions. You got to be prepared for everything in this race. So it sounds extremely difficult. All right, let's go to the results from this year's event. Jack Tanucci won overall, 31 hours and 41 minutes. And for the women, Wendy Wheeler Jacobs got first in 38 hours and 55 minutes. So if that tells you anything about the difficulty of this race, the winning time was 31 hours and 41 minutes. So it's a beast. And let's see, this is in southwest Wyoming, below the Tetons, but above the Wasatch Range. It's the Wyoming Range. And the stretch of mountains is home to the Wyoming Range National Recreation Trail, which is a 75-mile trail through some of the most beautiful high country imaginable. So sounds like it would be pretty cool, but yeah, prepare for a tough race. All right, let's jump over to Fat Dog. So Fat Dog is a race that is kind of near and dear to my heart. I finished Fat Dog in 2023. I was DFL, dead effing last. Finished with 5 minutes to spare. I'm sure you've all heard me tell that story a few times, but it's awesome race up in British Columbia and Manning Park and the surrounding areas. Just beautiful scenery, lakes, awesome climbs, and they say it's 124 miles, but I think through the reroutes over the years and stuff, I'm guessing it's closer to 127. I had 128 on my watch, but I was stopped at aid stations for periods of time. But it's a beast. There's I think over 27,000 feet of climbing, including the last 11-mile stretch that has a 3,600 foot climb. And it's 11 miles, between the last aid station and the finish. So it's really no joke of a way to finish a race. It's lots of false summits, and you end up with like a 4-mile downhill at the end. So yeah, it's a beast, and it's also a hard rock qualifier. So the third hard rock qualifier that I've gone over out of the 4 races. So Scott McGuire from Canada got first for the men, first overall in 29:45, and Jenny Quilty first for the women in 31:59. Sierre-Zinal was this weekend, and this is not an ultra race, but I feel like we should cover it because it seems like all the best trail runners, short distance trail runners in the world jump in this race. And there's times when you even get some of the the longer distance runners, mountain runners, jump in and do well. Like Kilian Jornet has had great success at this race, including winning it last year. So yeah, it draws all these big time runners. This is a 31K course and it has 2,200 meters of climbing. So that's 7,200 feet of climbing in 19 miles. So it's a beast of a climb, and that climbing all takes place in the first, I think, 20K. So really it's just this huge 20K climb, and then it levels out, and then I think the last 7K is a descent down to the finish. It is point to point. They do have prize money. The top 10 runners earn prize money with 2,000 almost 2,500 to the winners for the men and the women. And there is time bonuses as well, so it gives them more incentive. In the men's race, it started out kind of crazy. This kind of someone who is unknown to the trail world, but is actually a Olympic triathlete that ran a 14:27 for the 5,000 meters and a 29:38 for 10,000 meters on roads. That one was earlier this year. He jumped out to, and this is Adrian Brifford from Switzerland, and he jumped out to a crazy lead early on in the climb. And everybody was kind of baffled at that because nobody really knew of him in the short distance trail running world. And at the top of the climb at the 20K mark, he was still a minute ahead, but on that flatter section, he was caught by the two Kenyans that are always kicking ass in the Golden Trail World Series. Philemon Kiriago and Patrick Kipgengo. And Philemon is a two-time uphill world mountain running champion. And Patrick Kipgengo is, he's right there competing in all the races. So, and so they both caught him on the flatter section, and then in the downhill, Philemon Kiriago went on to blast that downhill and win the race in 2 hours and 28 minutes. And then Kipgengo was really close behind him, only like 23 seconds. So he finished second in 2 hours and 29. And Michael Salai from Kenya was 2 hours and 29 and 14. So, basically 30 seconds separated the podium. And all three male winners were from Kenya. So pretty cool to see. And some of the other well-known names for us, for the ultra world, Francesco Pupi from Italy got 10th in 2 hours and 37 minutes. And Christian Allen from the U.S., Taylor Stack from the U.S. got 12 in 2 hours and 38. And Christian Allen, who's been just tearing up the shorter trail races this year from the U.S. He's the one with the mullet that won the vertical K out at Broken Arrow, and he got 21st place in 2 hours and 42 minutes. For the women, last year Joylene Kipgengo was debuting it was her debut race at Sierre-Zinal last year, and she shocked everybody and ended up winning. And this year and she's from Kenya, and this year there was another Kenyan, Caroline Kimutai, also from Kenya, that it was her debut race this year at Sierre-Zinal, and she was trying to do the same thing that Joylene did last year. So those two got out to an early lead from the rest of the group, and actually Kimutai ended up jumping out in front pretty quickly. She was 2 minutes ahead of Joylene, and then Joylene ended up catching her on the climb, and Joylene went on to win for the women in 2 hours and 54 minutes. And then Kimutai ended up second in 2 hours and 55. And in third place from the U.S., Katie Scheid, like, hey, fresh off of her Hard Rock win, just decided to jump in one of the most competitive, fastest, shorter distance trail races in the world. And she just showcased the fact that she is very fast and multi-talented. She can do any distance. And so she ended up on the podium here at Sierre-Zinal. Pretty awesome. And from the U.S., also Anna Gibson did pretty well. She got 9th in 3 hours and 5 minutes. And let's see here, Lauren Gregory, 3 hours and 15 minutes. She got 16th. So, and Rachel Tomajek from the U.S., 3 hours and 20 minutes for 25th place. So nicely done, everyone out at Sierre-Zinal. It sounds like a pretty crazy race, really. You got all these super fast people, but you have this like 7,000 or 7,200 foot climb in 20K to start the race off, and it's super technical too, from my understanding. So it would be interesting to see that race or maybe just do the course. All right, jumping on to the Swiss Alps 100. This is in Switzerland. So we're staying in Switzerland, different area of Switzerland, Fiche, Switzerland. This is a monster race, Swiss Alps 100, and probably one of the most scenic races that you could ever do. That's why my background today is from Switzerland, and that's the mountains near Interlaken in Switzerland. So, we have. I'm drawing blanks now. Let's see here. It's the name of a famous race. Oh yeah, Eiger. So we have Eiger, Monk, and Jungfrau. Those are the big three mountains, and it's kind of what's behind me there. All right, so in the Swiss Alps 100, and this race has 33,000 feet of gain, and it's also a hard rock qualifier. It goes across 3 suspension bridges around the largest glacier in the Alps. So that alone sounds pretty damn cool. Ulrich Arreger from Switzerland won the men's race in 23:38. That's insanely fast. And let's see, for the women, Barbara Drews won. She's also from Switzerland, and she won in 31:18. All right. Bigfoot 200, one of Candace Burt's 200 milers, was over the weekend. And Killian Korth, who's a long distance specialist, ended up first. It's not his first time winning this race either. He won in 2023, and he won this year in 45 hours and 4 minutes. And Ashley Paulson coming back onto the scene in a big way. She ended up first for the women. And let me see here. So, I wanted to make a mention. Avery Collins or Brody Chisholm was second for the men in 45-45. And Avery Collins, who I haven't seen his name a lot in the last few years. He used to tear up mountain races quite a bit. So it's good to see him back. He's from Colorado. I believe he still lives there. But he got third in 47:53. Ashley Paulson's time was 57 hours for the win for the women. Some other noticeable finishes. Harvey Lewis. Harvey, another multi-talented runner. He not only does he do the flat backyard, not exactly flat, but not only does he do the backyard style races and the paved 135-mile uphill Badwater race, but he also jumps out and does a 200, the Bigfoot 200, and he finished 14th for the men and 19th overall in 65 hours and 22 minutes. And also David Goggins was out there at Bigfoot 200. I think this kind of surprised a lot of people. He hasn't raced in like 5 years. So it's good to see him out there getting after it, staying hard. He finished in 66 hours and 4 minutes, which that's no joke at Bigfoot. Bigfoot has a lot of climbing. It's a tough race. So to see him out there just crushing it, I'm not surprised, but I know he's had I thought he had some knee issues and some other stuff going on, but that guy, he works harder than anybody. So I guess it shouldn't be too surprising. All right, moving on to we're going to go to Pinckney, Michigan, and there's a race. I'm guessing this is a new race. I'm not too familiar with it. The Pines to Vine 50K, and it takes place on some of the trails that I used to train on when I lived in Michigan for 13 years, and out in Pinckney, the Pinckney Rec area. Looks like a pretty cool race. I know those trails are really cool, so that they run on. And let's see here. Neil Nicholson won for the men in 5 hours and 26 minutes, and Andrea Pomeransky for the women in 4:31. So Andrea was first overall. Nice job, Andrea. That's awesome. All right. That's it for race results for now. Let's jump into some FKTs. Long Trail in Vermont, one of these famous routes that a ton of people have gone after. We have a female unsupported FKT set by Tori, Chewy, Constantine in 5 days and 19 hours and 29 minutes. And looking at her race breakdown or her FKT breakdown, she talks about doing it unsupported, and she carried 6 days worth of food but didn't eat any of her couscous. She drank unfiltered water and slept on the ground, but not for long. And she said she learned a lot, but blistered more. So congrats to Chewy Constantine for Vermont Long Trail. That's a tough trail. It goes the length of Vermont. Lots of climbing, super technical. And somebody else is actually doing a supported long trail FKT attempt starting very soon. I think maybe tomorrow, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's jump over to the Colorado Trail. There was multiple FKTs set out on the Colorado Trail just recently. And as we've talked about before, there's really 4 different ways you can go. So like in the northern third of the Colorado Trail is the Collegiate Mountains, and there's two different ways you can go around the mountains. You can go east or you can go west, and then there's two different ways you can do the whole route. You can go from east to west or west to east. So that presents four different ways that you can do this. Now, the FKTs we're going to go over, the first one is a female unsupported going east to west, the Collegiate West route. And this is one that Kyle Curtin had set last year, the overall supported, and we were talking about that. And we also talked about Jonathan Thomas setting the self-supported on this route. But today we're talking about Dena Carr setting the female unsupported FKT on the Colorado Trail, 15 days, 11 hours, and 45 minutes. Yep, she hiked it unsupported. That means she started with all the food she was taking. She had to get water from natural sources, or if it's a public source, or if it's like a drinking fountain, it has to be accessible to all of the public. You can't stop at gas stations or anything like that. So, all right. Also on the Colorado Trail, we have a male self-supported, and self-supported is you can stop at gas stations and things like that. You can resupply. You don't have to carry everything with you. You can purchase supplies. And west to east, Collegiate West was set by Jonathan Thomas. Let me go to that. So west to east, Collegiate West. Actually, where is it? I am not seeing it. Maybe I'm sorry. I haven't talked about Jonathan Thomas yet. I just said that we already talked about him because I'm talking about him now. So he went east to west and did the Collegiate West route, same as Dena Carr. And he set the self-supported male FKT 8 days, 20 hours, and 38 minutes. Took almost 2 days off the previous one. Also, we have a male supported FKT, and these are really tough to get. Lots of big names do the supported FKTs on the Colorado Trail. This route was east to west Collegiate East, and Andre Michaud set it in 8 days, 10 hours, 52 minutes, which is less than 3 hours from the previous FKT. So nice work, Andre Michaud. Okay, Liz Derstine. Yep, she's still out. Day 63 wrapped up. She's only 259.5 miles from Canada. She's at Snoqualmie Pass, which is going to be her last major stop and supply before finishing out the trail. Doesn't look like the self-supported FKT is within reach, but looks like she's having fun, and she's also raising money for charity. So that's very cool. She's doing donations for the Pacific Crest Trail Association. They maintain the PCT. Okay, update on Jeff Garmire. We had talked last week about him start doing a self-supported FKT going north to south on the Appalachian Trail. And he just finished up Maine. And his tracker is really cool. Like, you can click on his little icon here. You can see how many days and hours and what mileage he's at. Then you scroll down and you can see actually his mileage and gain each day. And I guess, going north to south through Maine, you're putting up some big climbing. He had almost 10,000 feet of climbing and 43 miles on day 2, over 8,000 feet and 48 miles on day 3, over 8,000 feet and 36 and a half miles on day 4, almost 12,000 feet of climbing and 40 miles on day 5, and over 12,000 feet of climbing and 35 miles on day 6. And day 7 was 7,500 feet of climb in 19.71 miles. So getting the hard stuff out of the way first. And I'm sure once, he's in New Hampshire now. New Hampshire and Vermont also have crazy technical sections and lots of tough climbing. So once he gets through that, I'm sure he'll be able to start logging some monster days. So yeah, he finished 281 miles in Maine in 6 days and 13 hours. He's in New Hampshire currently. So, the record for when the previous record was set, it was by Joe String being McConaughey for the self-supported FKT north to south. And so he did 6 days and 1 hour in Maine. So Jeff is less than 12 hours off of Joe's pace, but this tracker is really cool. So we'll be able to follow along each week and see where he's at. Again, he is raising money for the Trevor Project, and in the show notes for the last episode, I put a link to that. So go check that out. All right. I mentioned that somebody was starting a long trail FKT attempt, and this is supported, and that is Tara Dower. She's going after it. She is, current overall Appalachian Trail speed record, and she really likes the East Trail. She's from Virginia originally, lives in Colorado now, but I think Colorado. And but yeah, she's starting a long trail tomorrow, and she's going for that supported FKT, and she's raising money for the Green Mountain Club that helps preserve and protect the long trail. And I believe, and maybe more trails than just the long trail, but all the trails in Vermont. So, but I know for sure that they do work on the long trail, and they're the biggest organization for like preserving it and things like that. I'll put a link into the donation page for that in the show notes. Also, Kristian Morgan has started a FKT attempt on the Appalachian Trail, and I believe he tried an FKT attempt, and we were following it last year, or maybe it was Aurora. I can't remember which FKT we followed Kristian on, but he is really, really strong at these long distance through hikes. So looks like he's 13 days in. And he was crushing it the last I had checked, but 653 miles at the end of day 13. So he's really, really going for it. Let's see what that is. 653 divided by 13. Yeah, he's averaging about 50 miles a day. So Also, Nick Chezwick Gagnon is doing the Triple Crown of through hiking, which is the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, and then the Appalachian Trail. He started May 2nd. And I believe it's a self-supported. But he has done with the PCT, and he's currently on the Continental Divide Trail. Week 13, and he is in Glacier National Park and going south to Helen, Montana. That's pretty epic to do in 1 year, those three trails. So we'll definitely be following him for a few more months. All right, let's get into some news. We got Laz is back on the road he's resumed his LazCon, and I'm not sure when he resumed. I must have missed that, but it was kind of quiet, and I just kind of caught up to it recently. He is in Colorado, so he picked up where he left off last time, but he's in Colorado. He went through Salida and is going up some big climbs. He said he saw the chain up sign, which means that the play climbs are over. He headed up to Marshall Pass, which he made it to a few days ago. He's back on Highway 50 heading west. So we'll be following Laz, watching him finish his second Transcon in the last couple of years. Well, I think it was like 6 years ago when he did his other one. Or, yeah, maybe 7 years ago. 6 or 7. Yeah, 7 years ago, maybe. All right. What else we got? Oh, Leadville's this weekend. There's some pretty strong runners in Leadville always, so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. The defending champion, David Roche, is coming back. And, he not only won it on his first 100-miler ever last year, he set the long-standing Leadville record. So we'll see if he executes his game plan from last year, if he does the same this year. Also, it's pretty cool. This guy, Bill Spruce, and Johnny and I talked about him kind of at length on a few of the podcasts. I believe that he lives in Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. And he owns a pizza shop. And I heard him on a podcast, the Adventure Jogger, when Ryan Pluckelman was still hosting, and he has run over 100 milers, and his primary sources of fuel in these races are pizza and beer. Now, he owns a pizza shop, so he developed his own pizza for his races, and he drinks beer. He fuels with beer. He takes beers when he leaves the aid station in his pockets. He's drank up to over 30 beers once in an ultra. He says he never feels drunk. He says his body just metabolizes it, and it's great fuel. Your body treats alcohol like sugar. I mean, I don't know about all that. Like, these days I can't even handle, having a few beers when I'm not running. I couldn't imagine doing it while running. But anyway, he's 56 years old, so he's still just out there crushing pizza and beers and 100-milers. And like, to me, he's like an ultra running superhero. But the news that I just saw the other day was, we talked about Badger 2 weeks ago. Badger 100. He finished Badger 100, and that was his 41st straight 100 miler without a DNF. So that's pretty epic. All right. Jumping into the 3Ts, tips, tricks, and thoughts. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it solo, even though Johnny's not here. We're gonna talk about stretching. Stretching, yay or nay? And everybody treats this differently. I've heard that stretching is not good to do. I've heard it is good to do. I honestly think it's just all personal preference. And I prefer to stretch before my run. Not any like hardcore stretching. I, just stretch the hamstrings, stretch the calves, do some of these, arms above the head, side lean type stretches. Nothing major, just a little to loosen up the muscles. One thing that people do say that does make a lot of sense is that dynamic stretching before a run is good, doing like some high knee type stuff or, like motion type warm-ups versus the static stretching. And I really do think that it's all about personal preference. Like if I don't stretch before a run, I feel it. I don't feel good when I start. My legs feel heavy if I don't stretch. So that's why I do it. I never stretch after my run. Sometimes I'll, just do a little bit of walking after the run just to cool down. But anyway, if you're listening to this, drop me a note on social media. Let me know if you stretch or, what your stretching routine looks like or if there's reasons that you don't stretch. I'd love to hear about it. But all right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today, this week. I think I'm off next week. We have some stuff going on next week, so I might not be able to record. I'll try to get an episode out, but I can't guarantee it. So if I don't see you next week, then I will definitely be back the week after, and we'll get caught up. But all right, everybody, have a good weekend. Have a good long run. Give us a like, subscribe, tell some friends, and we'll catch you on the next one.